2 years ago, I used to live in a place that most of you are going to be familiar with. Yes, the dream destination, but in all honesty, for me, it was just life. In the little time that has passed since then, a lot of things have changed. For one, I've managed to somehow move away from here, and as you can tell, come back.
Of course, there's another way more important thing that happened. Our entire planet was swept by a global pandemic. It almost feels weird saying it because it has become the most evident piece of general knowledge in the past few months. Paris is the city that I call my home, simply because it's the place I grew up in and probably the city I know best out of every city I've gotten the chance to live in. So coming back here after such a short time away was exciting, but in the past 2 days that I've been here, I've noticed that something's changed, perhaps a little more than I had expected. I'm going to go ahead and assume that every other city that has been through lockdowns and curfews of sorts is kind of going through the same thing. I've also noticed that my little break from Paris has made it easier for me to see the impacts of 2020. So what I thought I'd do is go out, try to see what changed, what's still the same, and try to get some clarity on everything that the world is going through. The first thing that stands out is just how many restaurants there are in most big cities. Walking around now, it's almost impossible not to notice how dark and quiet it has gotten without them. They stand there like black holes, sucking us into a memory of normal life. It takes me into a place of nostalgia, a longing to go back to the time when we were surrounded by social life, regardless of how much of an active part we individually played in it. I can still remember sitting in my old apartment alone and being warmed up by the distant chatter coming from the bar down the street. Life is slowed down. Various posters are telling you to quit the embrassade. But all these things were a radical part of life here, or of French culture, and perhaps of our culture as human beings. At the moment, we all have a curfew, but it doesn't feel like Paris is a grounded teenager. Instead, it feels like Paris has aged. It's tired, quiet, slow. It's so easy to get caught up only noticing what's no longer here. I have no scientific proof to back this up, but I strongly believe that nostalgia and longing for a better time is somehow part of our DNA. I was excited to come back here because there are certain things that I absolutely love about Paris. One of those things is the atmosphere here, the freshness, the vibes of people, places. It's very intangible, which makes it really hard to explain, but I believe that any dreamer who's been here would understand exactly what I mean. There's something about the city that makes me more creative and motivated here than anywhere else. That's still the same. Similarly, people are still in motion. Everyone's celebrating, the streets are decorated, the Christmas tree disposal areas are packed. It might be hard to notice at first glance, but life is still here, although a bit stored away for safekeeping at the moment. My old house still stands. The restaurants are open for takeaway. It's still cold as ever. The city is still the same, just like you on your bad days. Paris is still Paris, and so is your city, just on a temporary pause. My point is, there are always two sides of the coin. Passively, we're only able to see one, but it forever remains in our hands to pick up the coin and turn it until both sides are able to fit in our perspective. With the way that things have been changing for the past year, it is now more important than ever to consciously push ourselves towards gratitude. So ask yourself what's still good in your life. And if that doesn't do it for you, ask yourself what you still have to lose. Until that answer exists, you have things to be grateful for. Before I end this one, I want to say that obviously being happy throughout all of this is easier said than done. And I understand that in some cases, this is basically the worst advice you could ever give them. However, this is a mentality that I want to implement more in my own life, which is why I believe you should try it for yourself as well. So tell me, what's been the highlight of your week so far? And remember, no answer isn't an option.